What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Bond's Apartment. Long overdue video. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Swatch times Omega MoonSwatch, specifically Mission to Mars. Let's get into it. Everybody knows the Omega Speedmaster, one of the most iconic watches of all time. Chronographs have been around forever, but Omega's Speedmaster came out in the 1950s, 1957, the first ever Omega Speedmaster, of course, then most commonly known as the MoonWatch, the watch that went to the moon. First ever astronaut to wear it in space was Wally Schirra. So ever since then, this watch has been synonymous with NASA and space travel, and just absolutely iconic. So since then, many different movements, many different calibers, many different variations. They've got Speedmaster Racing, Speedmaster Professional, the Moonwatch, some with reduced metal, some in gold, some in rose golds. You know what I mean? Just every different possible variation of this watch you can get. Pre-owned watches, pre-owned Speedmasters, you can find, depending on the style, for as low as I think 2000 ish on something like Chrono 24 or Crown and Caliber, probably a little less, depending on the quality of the watch. But then they can go astronomically high based on the material, right? Or the time frame that it was made. A very sought after watch, especially for me personally. I've wanted a Speedmaster for a long time. Kind of had every intention on getting it as my kind of gift to myself slash from my wife as a wedding gift. Pretty expensive wedding gift. The wedding was expensive, so we didn't go that route. I actually went this route instead, the Omega Planet Ocean from Skyfall. But still something I want. So for me, it's like I said, it's a watch I've wanted a long time. I actually haven't pulled the trigger on it yet because I don't exactly know which one I want. There's a Michael Schumacher one that I'll put up here that I've wanted for a long time, and the price is great. But it's kind of like if I'm going to buy it, I also really want just, the 42 millimeter Moonwatch Professional, steel on steel with the polished steel in there. Then you're like, okay, do you do Hesalite crystal because that's what was on the moon? Do you do sapphire? Hesalite scratch is easier. There's so many different things. But then, out of nowhere, truly, this MoonSwatch thing happened. So nobody really knew what was going on. People knew something was coming, but nobody really knew what. And then they just kind of released it. And not so much released it for sale, but released, this is what it is. It's coming this day. You can't get it online. It's only in stores. And good luck. I happen to be in Florida, and my wife and I drove down because we were there long enough to where we needed a car. And we're on our way home. This would have been, I think, March 25th. And I started to get wind of this, talking to some of my bond buddies and my watch buddies and finding out what was going on. And I was like, I need this thing. Once I had heard about this, I was like, I need this. This is a cool little collector's piece. Come in all these different colors. The price point's ridiculous. It's so cheap. It's less than $300. And, it's kind of a good holdover until I get a real one, right? So with that said, I'm like, okay, well, how do I get one? Then I find out you can only get one in store. So now I'm a little bummed out because the closest Swatch to me in Michigan is in Toronto. It's about a 4 hour drive ish from me, but I'm also 15 or 16 hours into a drive home from Florida at this point, where I'm literally turning to my wife saying like, hey, if this is a possibility for me to just go to Toronto and get one, I might be dropping you off at home and heading out to Toronto. I made a phone call in the car to Swatch at Eaton Center in Toronto. And this is, like I said, the 25th of March, 2022. And nobody answers the phone. And I know they're open, but they don't answer the phone. So I'm like, you know what? I'll call the mall. I was like, I'll do one better. I'll call the mall. I know people like mall walk. It is March. It's cold, especially in a city like Toronto. I was like, I'll just call the mall and find out what time they open. Say they open at like 7, but Swatch isn't open till 10. I'll get there at 7. I'll just sit there a couple hours. It's a big deal. So I call Eaton Center, and somebody answers the phone. I said, hey, this is legitimately all I said. I'll never forget this. I go, what time do you guys open? She goes, the mall opens at 7. And if you're calling about the Swatch thing, there's already people lined up outside, like down the street and around the corner. I never said a word about Swatch. I just said, what time does the mall open? So I was like, I'm not getting one of these. And I'm not driving out there to not get one. So the whole craze of the Omega Swatch, MoonSwatch, is the fact that it is, aesthetically just like an Omega Speedmaster, but an unbelievably small fraction of the price. Of course, it's made from different materials. It's a quartz watch, but it's becoming a novelty piece. And there's 11 different versions, and people want to try to get every version, like Pokemon, collect them all. And it's just started this craze. Stats showed that the release of this MoonSwatch boosted Omega's Speedmaster sales by over 50%. It was nuts. And they were so impossible to get. The downfalls with it, you still can't get it online from Swatch. You can get it aftermarket from somebody. There's rumors going around that there's fake ones already, which, why would you want a fake one? It's only $260 US or something. So I personally have strayed from the idea of trying to find one online. I happen to be in New York, late fall, went to Swatch with a couple buddies of mine, didn't have any, which is ironic because the Swatch store is literally right next to the Omega store on 5th Avenue, and they didn't have any. I was like, this is great. But then I ended up getting married in November 2022. We went on a little mini moon to Toronto, went into Eaton Center, and they happened to have 3. Yeah, so they had Sun, Uranus, and Mars. So of the 3, Mars is the one that I gravitated towards. God, all these space puns. So let's get into the watch. Let's actually take a look at my MoonSwatch Mars. So it's bioceramic. And bioceramic is a unique mix of 2/3 ceramic and 1/3 material derived from castor oil. The main thing with this watch is you don't want to get it wet. That was one of the things you saw people do, and they take like Q-tips and start rubbing. I'm like, well, no one's, and they're like complaining, well, the color's fade. Who does that? Not every watch, even a Speedmaster, an actual Speedmaster, is not a dive watch. There's no point in getting it wet. Just like this one. Don't get it wet. No point. I don't know what people are doing it for, teach their own, whatever. Anyways, so quartz movement, 3-bar water resistant. The original strap is this Velcro little 2-piece boy here. So there's things where I think this one, it's kind of set up like this. People say to switch them. I, as you could see with mine, got rid of that completely. This is actually a Hirsch strap, black leather with some red stitching, matches perfectly, makes this more of an everyday watch, which is nice. $260 US. You can't beat it. The thing is, this watch is one you just grab and go. Something you're wearing around the house, working around the house. You don't want to set your automatic watch. You don't want to wind your self-winding watch. Just something you grab and go. That's the thing with this one. When I bought this and I was sitting in the hotel in Toronto, I was like, first off, amazed that I was able to find one. But then I was kind of like, am I going to wear a red watch? And I didn't really care because I was just happy that I found one. But at the same time, I was like, if I put a black strap on this watch, You know, with the white bezel and the white dial, the red, it's pronounced, of course, but there's a lot more to it than just these red pieces. So the mission to Mars, fiery red tones contrast with the bright white dial and Velcro strap. The chronograph seconds hand is red, while both hours and minutes subdials sport unique red hands in a playful spacecraft shape. All dials carry the Omega times Swatch branding as well as the iconic Speedmaster logo and the new MoonSwatch logo. The glass construction, the hidden S integrated in the center of the crystal, didn't even know that. The fine and sophisticated circular pattern on the dial, outer ring, and the subdials, the sharp and smooth lugs construction, the iconic dot over 90 detail on the tachymeter, sealed bezel, and of course the unique bioceramic touch are all common to all materials and stand for passionate love for details. All hours, minutes, chronograph second hands, and hour markers sport. I messed up one time this giant paragraph. Super luminova for a perfect glow in the dark. Also very nice. I've got really nice watches that don't have lube, so big benefit there. The bottom line with this watch is you cannot beat the price. The only thing that makes it a pain in the ass is it's so hard to find. You have to live near a Swatch store unless you want to buy it online and take the chance of it being fake or also paying a premium. But half the fun of this watch is hunting it down. You know, I had gone to 2 or 3 different Swatch stores before I found one. I had to wait almost a full year to get one because I didn't happen to be around Swatch stores. I think at one point I was in Vegas. They didn't have one there. They had a Swatch at the airport. They said no. So it might have even been like 4 or 5 Swatch stores slash kiosks before I finally got my hands on one. And I was lucky enough to be able to choose between 3 different versions. But that's part of the fun of it, you know, having to hunt this down and being in the right place at the right time, especially for some of the more sought after versions, the ones that kind of look more accurate, is Mission to the Moon or, you know, Mission to Mercury. And now Mission to the Moon actually has the gold version as well. So I think that would technically make it a total of 12. But it's just a fun watch. I love having it in the collection. I love the fact that I have this Mars one. I did kind of find from talking to some of my friends, watch connoisseurs, that Mars is actually one of the more sought after ones, which is kind of surprising. Apparently people really like the Mars, so I'm very thankful that I got one. But that's it. Quick little review on the watch, little history on the MoonSwatch, little history on the MoonWatch, and that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Another like little military NASA thing. Catch you on the next one.